Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Just Another Talk. Feds subpoena Hasan Piker, Mehdi Benjamin over Cuba trips. Well. We're going to jump into this. I know I've seen a few videos of this being covered, but I decided to look at things from a little bit of a different perspective. Before we jump into this article, let's see what Hasan had to say about the news.
And I'm not going to lie to you guys.
Uh-huh.
It's not great.
Oh, really? Why is
The
it? Tell us.
news is not great.
Okay.
I mean, it's bullshit,
Oh, is it?
but still not great that they're after your boy. They're up my ass. And I'll obviously get into it right now. I'll tell you all about it, but let me blast off real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We will free you, brother. Yeah, free me. Free me. Free me. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Obviously, it's not good. It's not looking good at all. But why is it not looking good, right? Because if it's bullshit, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Well, I have my own theories, but let's go ahead and get into the article first, just to see some of the things that they're saying here. So it says federal officials have served subpoenas to Marxist political influencer Hasan Piker and Code Pink co-founder Susan Medea Benjamin as part of a wider investigation into whether U.S. organizations and leaders violated U.S. laws and sanctions in supporting Cuba's communist regime, Fox News Digital has learned. Piker and Benjamin are among those caught in a federal inquiry into whether activists who traveled to Cuba in March violated U.S. sanction laws through the financing, coordination, or delivery of goods to Cuba, including potential contacts with Cuban government personnel or entities on the island. The administrative subpoenas were sent to the pair by the Treasury Department, Office of Foreign Assets Control. This is important because this is not the kind of subpoena you would get from a criminal trial. This is more of just an investigative subpoena, a more of show us or else kind of subpoena. The administrative subpoenas called Request for Information, or RFI, seek financial, logistical, and communications information revolving around trips the two widely bragged about making to the island nation in March with delegations of the Nuestra America Convoy, or Our American Convoy, from a global network of communist sympathizer activists and influencers who bought supplies to the country's ruling Communist Party of Cuba, according to sources familiar with the matter. That last sentence is very important, and I'm going to read it one more time. Who brought supplies to the country's ruling Communist Party of Cuba. On the surface, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, this is just persecution because of his outspokenness and because he's going against the Zionists and, all the other bullshit you can throw up on the table. But in all true reality, it is against the law to bring supplies to a country that is actively acting against the United States government and its interests. Now, I'm not gonna be the guy you get to be like, oh, you're defending the U.S. government. No. I'm just pointing out the facts. All right, so let's see what else. The investigation is part of a broader effort by officials at Treasury, Secretary, and Justice Department to curb malign foreign influence operations inside the United States, particularly activities tied to support for political violence, extremist movements, or acts the U.S. government classifies as terrorism. The scrutiny reflects growing concern among federal authorities and lawmakers over whether foreign actors and aligned organizations are attempting to shape American political discourse, mobilize activists, sow discord, and normalize rhetoric that could encourage violence or undermine U.S. national security interests. Can you guys think of anything in the last, I don't know, year that popped up out of nowhere and was supported by really we don't know who, just mainly nonprofits, and we also know that they received a lot of money? You guys think of anything? Anything comes to mind by any chance? How about the No Kings protest? How about all the people that are protesting against ICE? Where are all these people getting money from? Or how are all these people maintaining themselves while pretty much protesting almost every day, all the time? You ever wonder that? That last portion I read makes me think that they've either made a connection or they're looking for a connection because there's something more there that we can't see just yet. I'll read it one more time. The scrutiny reflects growing concern among federal authorities and lawmakers over whether foreign actors and aligned organizations are attempting to shape American political discourse. Sounds about Hasan to me. According to the Fox News Digital investigation, Singham has pumped $278 million into nonprofit groups that have pushed pro-China, pro-Cuba, anti-US narratives and street protests for almost a decade. Since his marriage in February 2017 to Code Pink co-founder Jody Evans, who's also been investigated for a role in the March trip, Code Pink received 1.33 million from Singham after he married Evans. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And if you're wondering who Singham is, this is him right here. It's this guy who's married to Code Pink. This guy's donated $278 million to organizations to push pro-China and pro-Cuba and anti-American. To me, this is one of those things where it's about time, even if this means that Hasan doesn't go to jail, but it's about time that we start looking at these folks who are trying to come to our country and are trying to say that we need to dismantle the system and we need something better, and not just that, but we need to replace it with things that obviously don't work in other countries. I'm not saying America's perfect. I'm not saying our system is perfect. It has its flaws. But so far, it's been the best system. So let's finish reading this. In mid-March, organizations in the Singham network, from the Versenos, I think is how you say that, brigade, to the People's Forum, a hub for communist causes in New York City, where leaders of the Nuestra American Convoy, which include an estimated 650 delegates from 33 countries and 120 organizations. The organizations include Democratic Socialists of America, a U.S. nonprofit that promotes Piker as a headline member. Remember, this is the same nonprofit that pushes for the socialist belief systems that you see in Seattle, not just Washington State, but also Oregon. The investigation by the Office of Foreign Assets Control is part of a broader dragnet that includes as many as 40 American citizens who joined foreign nationals, including a controversial Brazil activist, Diego Oliva, who are part of a global network of anti-U.S. Marxists, communists, and socialists. Additional subpoenas are expected. The administrative subpoenas mark a serious escalation by the Trump administration against a far-left nonprofit activist network that spent years defending communist regimes from Cuba to China, while presenting its works as humanitarian aid, anti-war organizing, and solidarity with people oppressed by the imperialist U.S. colonial power. I get that we have freedom of speech, and I want to keep that. I'm not saying that we need to jail these people who we disagree with, because that is a slippery slope. But at some point in time, there needs to be a line where you don't cross. And I think they're trying to draw the line in the sand with these administrative subpoenas because it's getting out of hand. Now, you might be wondering, okay, I don't know anything about Hasan. What has he done that you need to draw a line in the sand? Why is there a need to even draw a line in the sand? Well, I'll tell you why there's a need for it.
Gunshots at the Trump rally? Shut the up. No.
America deserved 9/11, dude. It, I'm saying it. We fucking totally brought it on ourselves, dude. Holy shit.
Every type of armed resistance against both the settlers and also the Israeli occupying force in the West Bank. Doesn't matter if it's your favorite podcasters like Wife that participate in these raids. The violence that the Palestinians engage in an act of resistance against this illegal occupying force is literally legal, definitionally legal. If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott. Okay, the moment is clear. You got to sick like the ACP guys on him. Okay, that's it. You got to get one of those like Haz al Dink type to just like eat his ass alive. You know.
Hey, yo.
7-4 Bellevue Drive, and I'm gonna kill you with my AR-15. Like, that's the type of messages they were leaving in this dude's office, and he's resigning. So I think that people are a lot more radical now. This is a time, is an unprecedented time to really get others on board. Someone has to do it. See, when I say that, everyone knows exactly what I mean. I think that shows that there's a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, and untapped revolutionary potential, as a matter of fact.
Well, my understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods. I'm sick and tired of it. Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these motherfuckers and letting their intestines just ride on stage. What the is this shit, man? Slice them up.
I think this is just a one dude who is genuine in his actions and maybe, you know, a little bit brain broken, regardless of your background, any kind of Zionist tendency should be treated in the same way as being a rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the local dog catcher as Felix was posting if they've ever exhibited any sort of like positive feelings about the state of Israel. I'm so serious about this. Him and Drew are the same. Tim Pool and Destiny are the same. If there was obviously a real karmic justice out there, or any sort of real lawfare out there, real rule of law out there, they would be treated in the exact same way that journalists were treated for defending the Holocaust. Okay? For their consistent support of Israel's genocide, they would be tried in the exact same manner that members of the media were tried during the Nuremberg trials. To me, there is no difference between Tim Pool and Destiny in that regard. There is no difference between Tim Pool and Drew Pavlov in that regard. Like, there's that weird Australian Cypriot pervert. What is his name? Drew, whatever the his name is. He's like the guy who's like, I want to kill, I don't know, Chinese nationals or whatever. He should just go to jail. I don't know why he's not in jail, but that Drew Pavlov, yeah, that guy. Also, I want to apologize to Jackson Hinkle. This is the one apology that I will be delivering to the American Communist Party, specifically Jackson Hinkle. I don't know what the he did, but I heard that he bullied Drew Pavlov off Twitter. Broken clock. Critical support. Vile boy that my soldiers brought in and were like, this boy right here, he's going to be a good warrior.
Drew Pavlov's son is going to be the janissary, not mine.
No, he's a terrible janissary. Well, I think he would make for a horrible janissary. I would never allow him to do it.
We would need to get to him very early before Drew destroys his mind.
Yeah. Come back again next week when we discuss the legendary question of all time. Old enough to count, old enough to mount? Question mark. You might think.
I think you've seen enough, my friends. That's the lovely Hasan Piker just going in. And now this video is 20 minutes long. We only watched about 5 minutes of the video. But I'm curious, how high does this counter go? Oh, 37, 47, 54. The last count, 65 different times. I'm not going to sit here and just because I dislike Hasan say that all 65 of these are him stating things that are vicious or heinous. Because some of them may be explainable. But 65 times, my guy. And there are even some in there that I understand the context of because I've seen the full video and it is not good even when you watch the full clip. I think Hasan has a problem. I really do. Now I wanted to show some of the reactions that other streamers are having about Hasan. So here's Asmongold.
The thing is that I have zero sympathy for Hasan.
Yeah, why?
Because he regularly and all the time misframes and intentionally misunderstands other people's positions in order to make them look bad. He does this constantly. So now the government might be doing it to you. So it's like, really, you've been doing this to everybody all the time. You constantly call anybody who disagrees with you Israel's strongest soldier or, you know, Israel lover or something like that. It's not even really true. So whenever you've made an entire, like basically an internet career out of mislabeling and misunderstanding things, then I'm not going to feel too bad about it, right? I mean, you shouldn't have done it. You know, it doesn't feel too good. So, yeah, what goes around comes around.
Even though I don't think that he's being misinterpreted, I think Hasan has been very clear in his stance and what he believes in. I do think that there might be a little bit of a reach here. There might be nothing there. You might not be able to connect him to anything nefarious. My thought process on this is I don't think they're trying to actually convict him. They're just trying to show these folks, because I think there are people who are doing a lot worse things than Hasan are. This sends a message to those folks. Think carefully because we will be investigating you. And if there is even the slightest confirmation of you doing some shit, we're throwing the book at your happy ass. So Myron responded to this. Let's see what he has to say.
Step 1.
Yeah.
Get this subpoena. Read the subpoena. Step 2, hire a lawyer that specializes in OFAC. Step 3, optional, but I highly suggest you do it just based on what I think the government's going to bring you in for. Hire a criminal defense lawyer that specializes in espionage. Pay for the consult. Maybe retain him as a lawyer. Maybe he can be like, you know, co-counsel for your OFAC lawyer. You and those two lawyers can kind of figure it out and see, you know, who kind of wants to take lead. I predict, Your OFAC attorney is going to be the main guy that comes with you probably when you testify, right? If they let a lawyer in, then if anything, God forbid for you, if anything happens and goes to criminal, you already got a lawyer on standby. So this is the best way to kind of set yourself up to like deal with whatever comes your way. But more than likely, when he goes in to testify for the subpoena, his lawyer's probably going to tell him, yeah, dude, don't just take the fifth. One other thing, if he hires a good lawyer, a good savvy lawyer can talk to the lawyer that's going to run the hearing and say, look, bro, because the lawyers, they have this kind of informal relationship. He can tell him, look, why are you questioning my client? Is he the subject of a criminal investigation, federal? Is he like a target? Or are you guys just trying to kind of get some information? Well, he's not the target of our investigation. Perfect. Let me cut you a deal. This is what a good attorney will say. Let me cut you a deal. You promise not to charge my client. We do this under a 5K. He'll tell you guys everything that you guys want. But you give us a 5K and he'll go in there and answer all your questions. He won't take the fifth. But
which I'm willing to bet if they do have anything on Hasan, it's probably not much. He's going to squeal.
He'll find him and make him squeal. I know the squealers when I see them.
He is going to sing like a canary in a coal mine.
I need to have a Castigar letter in place so that y'all don't come back and charge him. That's the winning strategy for Hasan at this point. Because if he gets a 5K from the government, as long as he doesn't lie, he's safe. But if he lies in his testimony, let's say he says some shit like, they ask him, did you meet with XYZ Cuban official? Right? And he says, no. But then they find out that he did meet with that official. A lie like that will throw out everything that he said during the testimony, and now he's fair game for being prosecuted. So that's the key. He's got to be 100% honest to get the immunity. But if he has immunity, then he can say shit that would even incriminate him. I see that's a potential strategy his lawyer can use. You know, it's obviously too early to tell because I don't have all the facts, but that's my analysis from what we know so far. Hasan knows me a fucking thank you after that. Now, some of you guys might be saying, Myron, why are you saying this? Why are you helping Hasan? Let me be clear. I don't like Hasan.
Yeah.
He doesn't like me. He's called me a Nazi, Holocaust denier, probably played a role in getting me banned from Twitch like a fucking snowflake that he is. But though I dislike Hasan and we are completely opposed politically, right, on everything except for pretty much Israel and Gaza, we agree on that. Even though we disagree, I understand that if he gets prosecuted for basically his political views, unless they have like some really strong evidence he's an actual spy, which I actually kind of doubt. Bro's not smart enough to be a spy. Let's be honest. He's just like a libtard lefty that wants socialism for all while living in like a multi-million-dollar house. The reason why I'm like giving him this sauce is
ironically
because I understand that if Hasan gets arrested, none of us are safe that are political commentators. I have the wherewithal to understand that if Hasan gets arrested, it's just a matter of time until they're going to start doing the same thing to conservatives. That's why I don't want Hasan to go to jail.
I disagree because the big difference between the conservatives and really anybody speaking politically within the United States is that they're actually not going to a country that's designated as the enemy of the United States and meeting with the regime there. I mean, allegedly, of course, because we don't know if he did or didn't, right?
That makes sense, chat? Because then the government's going to start, you know, going down this slippery slope of going after political commentators for holding opposing views to the administration in power. You guys saw what happened when Biden was in power. We got demonetized. We got fucking, you know, nuked with the algorithm, all that shit. I don't wish that upon my worst enemy. Even though Hasan will probably not extend the same courtesy because he's a I'm not going to bend my principles because he's a dumbass. With all that said, this isn't to protect Hasan. It's to protect political commentators in the long run from being targeted by the government for opposing political views. This can happen to a fucking conservative when a Democrat hits.
Yeah, again, I disagree with him, but he is making a point. It could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to have if they're going to prosecute him, they're going to have evidence on why they're prosecuting him. They're going to be extremely clear why they're prosecuting, and people will see it. Because if they don't, then you definitely open up Pandora's box for the situation.
But it's so strange because like this is not even beneficial for any of these people, right? It's not even beneficial. And they don't get it. They don't understand it. Like, who is this for is the question. Is it for you? Is this helpful for you if I go to fucking prison? No. It's not. But it's so strange because like
why is it strange?
This is not even beneficial for any of these people, right? It's not even beneficial.
Okay, I disagree.
And they don't get it. They don't understand it. Like, who is this for is the question. Is it for you? Is this helpful for you if I go to fucking prison? No.
Yeah. And I'll tell you why it's helpful, because people like you will stop saying the bullshit that you're saying. For everyone who thinks they can get away with the kind of rhetoric that you've gotten away. And there's a whole set of people on the internet right now. You can go on X, you can go on Reddit, you can go on TikTok, and you can find these people who think it's okay to say things like kill ICE agents, kill Donald Trump, who continue to peddle these narratives that are not only not true, but a quick Google search will completely change your thought. Let's see. Let's watch one more video. Asmongold reacting to Hasan.
I was never your biggest fan, Hasan, because I personally don't like how you sometimes flaunt your wealth, but do appreciate chatter. I promise you, I don't flaunt my wealth.
You do when you ride around with
bullshit.
like really expensive clothes. If you're going around with shirts that are $1,000, you're flaunting your wealth. That's the only reason why you'd buy something like that. You don't need to buy really expensive clothes like that. There's no like, I mean, I obviously, I've had expensive clothes like that before. Like, you're obviously doing that. I mean, what do you mean you don't flaunt your wealth? Like, why are you even saying this? Like, I mean, how many times have, like, you know, you gone out in public and people have, like, seen how much money you've spent on, like, all your clothes? It's, like, $10,000. How is having a $10,000 fit not flaunting your wealth? Like, I mean, what are we doing here? It's just, it's Jesus Christ.
Other people will go to unbelievable lengths to try to identify how much each individual article of clothing I've purchased without even knowing where I've purchased that article of clothing or how I've acquired that article of clothing or whether it is at odds with my worldview at all, to create this idea that I love flaunting my wealth.
Yeah, you obviously do. It's why $10,000 fits. I mean, like, you can't walk around with like $5,000 to $10,000 worth of clothes on and then say that you're not flaunting wealth. I mean, I don't even know what we're doing here. It's just like it's so insanely this is shocking. Honestly, it's really like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I wanted to actually look at some of the comments that are left on his video here on YouTube. They're not after me, they're after you. I'm just in the way. Yeah, that's kind of bullshit. The fact that they're centrist Dems celebrating the Trump administration attempting to weaponize the government against someone for their political views tells you everything. No, what does it tell me? Cops showed up at a house I used to live at because they didn't like my social media posts about ICE. They're definitely trying to scare people. If you're threatening federal workers, and yeah, I mean, they're going to show up at your house. I hope this indirectly boosts your and other documentaries on Cuba and what the Cubans have been subjected to by the United States. It's the Cuban regime who's doing what they're doing to the Cuban people. Because if the Cuban regime tomorrow decided to play ball and say, all right, we are going to work with the United States to make Cuba better, things will be better. You know what? I don't even want to get into this person's mind of how you can think this. This is crazy work. Getting paid by China is not only allowed but encouraged when you're a billionaire and you fly to Beijing on Air Force One to help rich people, but banned and punished when you travel to Cuba to help poor people. Yeah, I don't know if you call that helping, but okay. Resist and solidarity. Okay. You better repeat that you love being alive and care about your family and friends as often as you possibly can. I was fired from my job at a time for saying I hope Iran takes out Trump. Intel has a plant in Israel, was bailed out by Trump and producing for the defense industry, by the way. The assault on our speech and lives is being waged on all fronts. You were fired from your job because you wanted Trump to get taken out? That's crazy. That's against the law, bro. What's wrong with you? Wow, fascism is raging in the USA. I'm an avowed Pikerist. I ascribe to the philosophy of Pikerism, and I can say they are only making a martyr out of the man. I don't think Hasan could be a martyr, and there's not enough of y'all for him to be a martyr. The last thing I'm gonna talk about here. So I couldn't actually find the actual tweet he made, but he's reposted multiple tweets like this one as well. It says Hasan Piker says Fox News has fallen for a fake tweet claiming he stayed in a sanctioned hotel in Cuba. There is an American citizen who recently did violate OFAC and stayed at a hotel that America does not allow citizens to stay in. It wasn't me though, it was Nick Shirley. This misconception that Nick Shirley is guilty of the same thing that Hasan is completely misleading. And I'll show you why it's misleading, right? Shirley went down there for actual journalism.
Upon arrival, I completed all required documents and had received a visa for journalistic activity. However, once I landed, all my camera gear was seized, and within 24 hours, I was planning my escape out of Cuba after their intelligence followed me all day and a 2-star general came searching for me at the hotel.
Meanwhile, Hasan went down there, and I'll show you exactly why he went.
I want to go to Cuba. Would you be down?
I fucking love Cuba.
Oh yeah, you'd be down?
Yeah, I filmed a documentary there once.
The Cuban government actually hit my contact from the embassy and told him that if the only thing stopping Hasan from coming to Cuba was the consistent internet access, we can make it happen.
Yeah, Cuba is sick.
You hear that? That means that he's in contact with the Cuban government that's oppressing their people, the same government who has sanctions on it because of how they treat the people there.
Wait, the government reached out to you.
So yeah, of course. It's well, not reach out to me. There's there's a middleman there. Because I had a doctor from Cuba. Cuba does this thing called medical missions, and they've been doing it since I believe like the 70s. And it's incredibly successful. They have a massive, very robust
what do they do?
program because kind of they have to, because they're under an incredible sanctions regime by the United States of America that the rest of the world thinks is abhorrent, except for America and Israel that keep consistently vetoing it over and over again. But this has created a
so amazing that they have to perform surgeries in the dark, right?
I want to go to Cuba.
Oh boy, it's crazy work. I want to use ChatGPT for this last part. What would I have to do in work with if I brought supplies to the Cuban government? Oh, I put what would law. Wow, I meant what law, but you guys get my point. If you are a U.S. person, remember this is ChatGPT, so this could be wrong, but if you are a U.S. person, citizen, resident, company, or someone under U.S. jurisdiction, the main laws you could run into are U.S. sanctions and export control laws, especially if the supplies go directly to the Cuban government, military, intelligence services, or sanctioned state entities. The Cuban Asset Control Regulation, administered by OFAC, which is U.S. Treasury, under 31 CFR Part 515, the Trading with the Enemy Act and related Cuba embargo laws, U.S. export control laws under the Commerce Department's export administration regulations. Let's see, possible violations can include exporting goods to Cuba without a license, providing material support or services to blocked/sanctioned Cuban government entities, financial transactions benefiting sanctioned Cuban agencies or officials, evading sanctions through third countries or intermediaries. Oh, intermediaries, so middlemen.
Wait, the government reached out to you.
So yeah, of course. It's well, not reach out to me. There's there's a middleman there.
Interesting. Penalties could include large civil fines, criminal prosecution, asset freezes/seizures, prison time in serious or willful cases. Some humanitarian aid, food, medicine, medical supplies, disaster relief, NGO aid can be legal with a license or under an exemption/general license. Direct support to the Cuban government itself is much more legally risky than aid to ordinary Cuban civilians or independent NGOs. Requires an OFAC license. How U.S. law distinguishes humanitarian aid from prohibited support to the Cuban government. So ultimately, can they prove that Hasan gave supplies, whether that's food or money or whatever the case might have been, to officials of the Cuban government? But I'm curious what happens next, and I'll keep my eyes on this story, and I'll bring you an update as soon as I can. I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Do you agree with Hasan? Do you disagree with Hasan? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you like, share, subscribe. And until next time.